Welcome to RevIO PSA Training for Workflows. Workflows are notifications used to inform employees or customers when a specific event occurs in PSA. They can also trigger certain actions in the system, like sending an email or changing the status of a ticket. Let's look at creating and managing workflows. To start, we'll click Admin on the sidebar menu, and then choose Workflows. Let's click the Create New Workflow button to get started. There are 3 steps to creating a workflow. Step 1 is where we will name the workflow and select the event that is going to trigger this workflow. Let's enter a name for the workflow. I'll type in New High Priority Calendar Item for our example. Now, choose the triggering event from the drop-down list. I'll choose Calendar Event Created. Now we'll click the orange forward arrow to move to the next step. Step 2 is where we will set all the conditions that must be met in order to trigger the workflow event. Let's click the Add Condition button to start building out those conditions. You first have to select the condition item from the drop-down list. Since my notification is going to send out when the calendar item is a high priority, I'm going to choose Calendar Item Priority as the condition that must be met. Now we'll choose the operator for the condition. Operators are things like equals, or does not equal, or starts with. We'll choose equal for this example. Now select the value for the condition. The value list will be based on the field you selected in the first drop-down list on this screen. I'll choose high priority here. You can add as many conditions as you need to specifically trigger this workflow by clicking the Add Condition button again. If you have multiple conditions set, you'll need to select whether it is required for all conditions to be met in order to trigger the workflow, or whether it must meet at least one of the conditions to trigger, or whether it needs to match none of the conditions in order to trigger the workflow. To change the order of the conditions, click the grid icon and drag up or down to the new location. To delete a condition you no longer need, just click the orange X to remove it. We'll move to Step 3 by clicking the orange forward arrow button. I'll also point out here that clicking the orange back arrow button will allow you to go back and edit Step 1 if you need to. Step 3 is the final step where we'll set the reaction. The reaction is basically what is going to happen if this event and these conditions are met. Select the reaction type from the drop-down list. I want it to send an email, so that's what I'll choose here. Since we selected email as the reaction type, we'll need to select an email template from the drop-down list as well. Now you can enter a from name that will display when the email is sent. It's not required though. I'll just type in my department name here. You'll need to enter the from email that will be displayed when the email is sent. This one is a required field. Typically, we see a no reply address here, so I'll enter that. Now enter the email address you want this email to be sent to. This can be a personal email for a technician, or it can be a group distribution email address you have created. I'll enter my distro email list for my field technicians. Next, we need to create a subject line that will display any time this email is sent. I entered New High Priority Calendar Item Created. And now we need to enter the body of the email. I'll type in some basic information for this demonstration. Clicking this token icon lets you add sort of a placeholder into the email text, so the system will be able to customize the email and pull information specific to the unique case each time it is triggered. Clicking on the specific token you want to add will just put in that placeholder. You can see the subject token placeholder in the body of the email that I selected. You'll see all the tokens marked as tags, so you can tell they are tokens. You can add as many as you need. You might have cases where you want to add them in a list like this, or you could add them in the middle of a sentence where you are referencing that item. Just type the sentence, and where you get to, let's say the ticket number, you just click on the token for ticket number right there in the sentence, and it creates that placeholder. tokens are also available to customize the subject line. For instance, we could add the start date to the subject line if you wanted to, since we are sending an email that is telling the technicians we have a new high-priority calendar item. This way, they'd know really quick what the date is for this item just by seeing the subject line. To finish this up, we'll click the Create button and save our workflow. Saving the workflow opens up the view screen of the workflow we just created. We can see all the information and that the status is active. Clicking the Edit Workflow button at the top will open the workflow and allow you to make any changes. While you are in edit mode, you can use the orange forward and back arrows at the bottom to move through the steps to make any changes. To cancel out of the edit screen without saving any changes, click the Cancel Changes button. From the Workflows list view, you can see the list of all the workflows in your instance, along with that basic information about the triggers. Click the three-dot icon at the right of any workflow, and you'll see several options for managing workflows. From here, you can view, edit, copy, or set to inactive. You can also set a workflow to inactive when you're on the view screen of a workflow. When the status is changed to inactive, that status will display on the workflow list and on the workflow itself. When you are working with an inactive workflow, the options change so you can set to active instead. Remember, you can only change the status of a workflow from this three-dot menu, or when you are viewing a workflow. You can't change the status while you are editing a workflow. Clicking the Back to Workflows button from the View screen will take you back to the list of all workflows. That's it for creating and managing workflows in Revio PSA. Make sure to visit the Help Center for more documentation or additional videos on the admin menu. Thanks for watching.